We use dozens of apps every single day. But have you ever really stopped to think about what makes you stick with one and just delete another? It all comes down to this one super critical idea: user satisfaction.
Exactly. I mean, we are surrounded by technology, but what's the secret sauce? How do companies actually cut through all that noise to create a piece of software you don't just use, but one you actually love?
Okay, so let's just dive right into the reality of today's software market, because it's not just about having a good idea anymore. Not by a long shot.
Right, the digital world is just incredibly crowded. Think about it. You need to edit a photo? There are what, 50 apps for that? Need a to-do list? There are hundreds. This kind of fierce competition means products quickly become commoditized. That's a fancy way of saying they're all so similar that the only thing that seems to matter is the price. In this kind of environment, just being fast to market isn't enough to win. That's just the ticket to enter the game.
So in a sea of things that all look the same, how do you stand out? Well, the really successful companies realize the answer isn't some shiny new feature, it's a laser focus on the customer. They totally shifted from building something that simply works to building something that people genuinely want and need.
But what does putting the customer first actually mean when you're building software? It's more than just a nice slogan. It's a fundamental shift in how we even think about quality.
And it all boils down to these two simple but incredibly powerful questions that sound almost identical. On the left, you've got verification, which asks, did we build the system right? And on the right, validation, asking, did we build the right system? That tiny one-word difference, well, it's everything. So, think of verification as kind of like a quality check on a factory line. It's purely technical. An internal team goes through a checklist. Is the code clean? Are there any bugs? Does it match the blueprint we were given? It is all about building the product correctly.
Validation, on the other hand, steps outside the factory and asks the customer, hey, is this actually what you wanted? It's an external check of value. This right here is the heart of user-centric design. I mean, you can build a technically perfect, completely bug-free submarine, but if your customer needed a car, you've completely failed.
So, how do you formally prove you've built the right system? It's not enough to just guess, right? You have to run a final critical set of tests.
And the answer to that is a process called acceptance testing. This is it. This is the final check, the moment of truth before the software goes out into the real world. You can think of it as the gatekeeper that determines whether the system is truly ready for the people it was made for.
And this isn't just one big test. It's actually a series of checks from a few different angles. First, and honestly, most importantly, you have user acceptance testing. Do the people it's built for actually like it? Then there's operator testing. Can the admins on the back end keep it running smoothly? And finally, you've got field tests. Does it actually hold up out in the messy, unpredictable real world?
The stakes for getting this wrong are just incredibly high. We're not just talking about a bad app review here, the consequences can be astronomical. Hundreds of millions of dollars. To be specific, $273 million. That was the price tag for the Hitomi Space Telescope, a really cutting-edge piece of engineering that was designed to unlock the secrets of black holes.
And just a month after it launched back in 2016, a series of software faults made the satellite's control system think it was spinning, so it tried to correct a problem that didn't even exist, causing it to spin wildly out of control and just disintegrate. A catastrophic failure, all rooted in software.
But you don't need a space telescope for the fallout to be massive. Just imagine a highly anticipated video game launches, but a software bug means it can't save your progress. It seems like a small thing, but overnight, forums and reviews would be flooded with angry players. Sales would plummet, and that studio's reputation would be shattered by a single, avoidable fault.
And this brings up a classic question posed by the software expert Jerry Weinberg. When companies wonder if they can really afford to do all this extensive testing and validation, the real question is, can they afford not to? The cost of doing proper testing is always measured against the potential cost of failure.
So what's the big takeaway from all of this? How do all these different pieces, the competition, the validation, the testing, how do they all fit together?
So let's just tie this all together. It really boils down to a new way of thinking. In today's crowded market, the user is the ultimate judge.
That means real quality isn't just about building a bug-free product, it's about building the right product. And you prove you've done that with serious acceptance testing. Because as we've seen, the investment in getting it right is always just a fraction of the cost of getting it wrong.
Ultimately, the formal definition of quality brings it all back to people. It's not about lines of code or technical specifications. It's about how well a system satisfies the needs, both the ones people tell you about and the ones they don't, of everyone who depends on it.
Man, so we'll leave you with a final thought. The best software, it feels effortless. It just works, and it does exactly what you need it to do. But that feeling, that's not an accident. It's the direct result of this immense, unseen effort of validation that happened long, long before you ever even saw it.